All right, let's now go over to Hawaii. Joining us live from Hawaii is Alfred Asenas. Hello, Alfred.
Half a day, Alma. Oh, I'm sorry. Talofa. No, I'm sorry. Aloha. I've been island hopping in my mind already. Uh, okay.
Can't wait,
Yeah,
huh?
because it's morning time. That's why.
Okay.
Anyway, so Alma, here are the latest numbers in the Aloha State. No, 530 cases. That's up from 517 the other day. Now, lately, what we've been tracking here in Hawaii is the number of recoveries, and we're showing some optimistic trends here. That 359 have recovered. That's 68% of the confirmed cases. That's up from 64 the other day. Now, from our last meeting, Almano, we talked about the curfew that was planned over the weekend here on the island of Oahu. And according to Mayor Kirk Caldwell, he felt that the curfew, which took place on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, they did their purpose to help prevent further spread and contamination within the island. Now, unfortunately, however, because residents were forced to remain off the streets overnight during that time, what didn't stay off the streets was crime. So there were still some break-ins, some Honolulu police still had to pull over some people. Actually, the curfew violations were secondary violations. And just to show you real quick first, the chart that we have is the latest from the city county of Honolulu. So yes, the increase in number of cases is understandable. It's the number of recoveries. I think the one shaded in green is the one that we're keeping an eye out on. Also, what's been happening lately? We touched on Maui last time. We're talking. We're looking into possible additional cases on the Big Island. We did an article a couple of days ago of a couple of restaurants out in Kailua Kona. That's where our own Charmaine Serrera gave us a word that there's a couple of fast food restaurants that were in. There were as many as 7 employees who contracted the disease, and thankfully they're now in isolation. And according to the state health department, they believe that discovery did not lend to any further spread out in the western part of Big Island. Now that picture right there is a sample of break-ins out in Waikiki. Ron Hamilton provided us that, and there's some graffiti there. I get it says, I guess the curfew does not apply to thieves. So that's unfortunate, and that really frustrated Honolulu Police Chief Susan Ballard for her to say shame on you to those who ended up violating the curfew, and even the other measures like social distancing. Now, earlier this week or yesterday, Mayor Caldwell signed an order mandating the wearing of masks in public, just like the one that you're seeing right now. And also, there's some additional test sites to be conducted throughout the island. And you can see, if you can look closer at the couple, so you have the man wearing the mask properly, and then you have the lady on the right, who's got her nose exposed. So we managed to capture that randomly, and then just to kind of send a message to everyone in the Aloha State that please wear those masks properly. Now, real quick, that there was a slide showing the testing coming up on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and you will notice the testing announcement showed a couple of locations outside of Honolulu. In light of what has happened in Maui and in the Big Island, now the city county of Honolulu, as well as the rest of the state, is looking at the smaller communities to find out if there are any more cases. So just to make sure those whoever is sick or whoever may have symptoms are accounted for. And that one chart right there is just a trend of how many cases have been discovered on the island of Oahu, which still, as is understandable, they carry the vast majority of confirmed cases throughout Hawaii. So I mentioned earlier that the mandate to wear masks that Mayor Caldwell signed, it's going to take place actually this coming Monday, and it will last until the end of the month. So there were some details when I published the article in our eaglenews.ph and .net on how this law will take effect. And yes, it's enforceable and punishable by law. And just a way ahead for what we're looking at, Alma, is there's this latest plan, a proposal by the state. Governor Ige proposed a salary cut of 20% from state employees. Now, when you say state employees, that unfortunately includes public school teachers. As you know, Alma, Hawaii has been had this issue of a shortage of teachers for years. We even had news did a report on this a couple of years back. And to have that proposal in the middle of a crisis and in the middle of a teacher shortage, that really created a lot of stir, a lot of negative reaction from the teachers union here, and even from Hawaii's legislature. So we're trying to track the progress on that situation, and we'll give you more updates on that and other matters here in the Aloha State, Alma.
That is really sad. But the last time I talked to you, you were talking about the beaches. A poster you showed that there should be no one in the should be on the beach. How is that going along?
Well, for the most part, the public is adhering to the social distancing and stay shelter-in-place mandate here. Mm-hmm. And you will have your pockets of those who want to test the system. And not just here in Honolulu, but in other parts, in other islands, that's not going to go away. Now,
are there penalties?
Yes, the penalties are still the same. There's some fines of up to $5,000. It's the standard fine that is also applicable to violating the 14-day curfew. If you also violate the wearing of masks, out in public, mm-hmm. It will be punishable and depending on the severity of the offense. And like I said, sometimes for those who get caught, they get caught for other reasons, whether it be from break-ins to speeding to the usual misdemeanors and violations. And then on top of that, they would get if they're caught without their mask, if they're caught being close to other people out in public, then that's your secondary violations. And how that's gonna be punished, depends. It'll depend in the eyes of the law. But Honolulu Police and other law enforcement agencies are very serious about enforcing these measures for everyone's safety. Now, and just an added note, Alma, the latest visitor arrival, I think, numbered less than 200. Now, that's significant. But in the eyes of the local authorities here, especially Honolulu, that's still quite a lot because every time there's visitors visiting the islands, and they have the authorities have to monitor to ensure then that they're abiding by the 14-day quarantine.
Okay.
So that requires some human resources to have to monitor that, as opposed to being able to protect our frontliners and other functions that are already in place to make sure there's peace and order. So that's some added observations from this end, Alma.
Mm-hmm. And how are you keeping your spirits up during this times?
Just for everyone's awareness. So right now I'm facing the kitchen, and we have here what we call an air fryer, and I learned how to air fry some chicken wings and some meat, which is actually a healthy way of eating as opposed to dealing with oil. So it's just a matter of just experimenting, if you will, in the kitchen, because I'm here for the most part at teleworking and just to kind of doing my part in just feeding the household, if you will. You want some, Alma? I'll send some samples.
Okay. Yeah, good for you. Thank you, Alfred, for your updates.
Thanks,
Thank you so
thanks
much.
everyone. I'm Alfred Acenas from Hawaii. We live in interesting times. Good night.
Good night. All right. Eagle News will be right back. Stay tuned.